This is the quests tutorial for the dialogue system for Unity. In this tutorial, you'll use the dialogue system to make a quest to collect 3 crates for an NPC merchant. Start with a project in which you've imported the dialogue system. Then, so that we'll have some art assets to work with, import the tutorial assets, which you can download from the link in the description. These are 2D assets, so you must enable 2D support in the dialogue system's welcome window. Open the base tutorial scene, which is located in the Pixel Crusher's Tutorial Assets folder structure. I'm going to save a new copy of the scene and call it Quest Scene. This is a basic scene with an unconfigured dialogue manager, a player, an NPC, and a crate. Create a dialogue database and assign it to the dialogue manager. This scene doesn't do much yet. You can make the player run around, and that's about it. So let's set up the quest. Edit the dialogue database. Add an actor for the NPC. Name it Merchant and assign a portrait image. The quest will ask the player to collect 3 crates, so we need a variable to track how many crates the player has collected. I'm going to name the quest Crates, so I'll name the variable crates.numCollected to make it easy to identify. Next, create a quest on the Quests/Items tab. Name it Crates and set the display name to find the crates. Tick Trackable, which allows the user to enable and disable quest tracking info in the Quest Tracker HUD. And tick Track on Start, which enables quest tracking as soon as the quest is accepted. Then tick Has Entries, because we'll use a quest entry, which is like a subtask, to show the current count. Set the description to something like this, and set the success description too. Now click Add New Quest Entry. Set the entry's state to active, which means it will be active as soon as the quest is accepted. We want this entry to show the value of the variable, so I'm going to copy the variable name to the clipboard. Then I'll paste it into the entry text using the var markup tag. Now we need to write the conversation. Let's set up the structure of the conversation first. We'll have different branches based on the current quest state. The first branch will offer the quest. The player can respond by accepting it. The second branch will ask if the player has the crates, and the player can reply yes or no. The third branch will be shown when the quest is already done. When the player replies yes in the middle branch, the merchant will say thanks. Now we'll set up the logic. Set the conditions on the first branch so that it's only shown if the quest is still unassigned. In the player's reply, set the quest active and show an alert message. Set the conditions on the second branch so that it's only shown when the quest is active. Then set the conditions on the turn-in reply so that it's only available to the player if the variable's value is 3 or greater. Configure the merchant's entry to set the quest state to success. Set the conditions on the third branch so that it's only shown when the quest is already in the success state. We're only going to show the crates when the player accepts the quest. Create an empty game object named crates. Make the crate game object a child of this game object. Then use the setActiveSequencer command to set it active. You can type it into the sequence field manually or use drag and drop like this. Now we need to set up the rest of the scene. Add a dialogue actor and a dialogue system trigger to the merchant. Add a usable and a dialogue system trigger to the crate. Configure the trigger to increment the variable and hide the crate. Now duplicate the crate a couple of times and scatter them around the scene. In the completed scene included in the tutorial package, the crate is a prefab, but for simplicity here, we'll just duplicate it. On the player, we need to set up a proximity selector, which requires a trigger collider. We'll also set up dialogue system events to disable the selector and movement during conversations. This is covered in the interaction tutorial. In case you did like me and forgot to add a usable component to the NPC, do that now. And deactivate the crates game object. Now let's test this out. We talk to the NPC, and you can see that the Quest Tracker HUD shows the newly acquired quest. But you might also want to show this info in a quest log window. An easy way to set up the ability to show and hide the quest log window is to add a quest log window hotkey component to the dialog manager. This one is mapped to the J key. Alternatively, you can call the quest log window's open and close methods. If we take the quest and press J, here it is. Now we can pick up crates and watch as the variable increments. And lastly, we restart the conversation to test the final branch. You may have noticed that the Quest Tracker HUD and Quest Log window are very generic. To customize their appearances, inspect the Dialog Manager's Instantiate Prefabs component. This is the Quest Tracker HUD. This is the Quest Log window prefab that's assigned to the component. You can duplicate this prefab, customize your duplicate copy, and assign it to the Instantiate Prefabs component, and do the same for the Tracker prefab. This quest's state is controlled entirely within a conversation. If that's the kind of game you're making, that's perfectly fine. But sometimes you may want to change quest states outside of conversations. Demo Scene 2 provides an example of this. Demo Scene 2 has an enemies game object with multiple enemies.
Help me take out those enemies before they call for reinforcements!
I'm on it.
You're going...
When you shoot an enemy, a variable is incremented in much the same way as the previous quest. However, instead of using a dialog system trigger to run Lua code, the enemies use an increment on destroy component. This component increments the variable and then runs a dialog system trigger on the parent enemy's game object. The dialog system trigger on the parent game object has some conditions. The quest must be active, and the variable must be over the goal value. If those are both true, it sets the quest to success and shows an alert message, all without being within a conversation. I hope this tutorial has given you plenty of ideas for quests in your own project. Thanks for watching.